What is going on, everybody? How is everybody doing today? So it is that time of the year. The trade deadline is creeping up on us, and usually around the trade deadline or the off season, I give you guys 10 trades that I would like to see happen throughout the NBA, and that's what today's video is about. So if you are going to ask me what website I'm using, it is the TradeNBA.com. It's where I use my mock drafts and my trade machine ideas, and I'm going to be giving you guys 10 trades that I would like to see happen in the NBA. Some involve players multiple times, and it's really not going to be the most perfect offer. Obviously, I'm not in a front office. I don't know what's really the value on these players, but I would just like to see this in some sense, like maybe the team giving up a couple young assets or picks for this said player. Now, it might not be that exact picks and assets, but you get the gist of it. So if you guys enjoy these videos, feel free to drop a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. And the first trade we have here is sending Kyle Lowry to one of the best teams in the Western Conference, the LA Clippers, in return for Patrick Beverley, Marcus Morris, Mfiondu Kabengele, and 2 second-round picks. So the Clippers are getting a former All-Star point guard, still playing somewhat like an All-Star, not what he was last year and what he's been in the past, but Kyle Lowry is still a damn good point guard on both ends of the floor. He's going to provide ball handling, playmaking ability, three-point shooting, and defense, and championship experience for that LA Clippers team trying to get over the hump. I know you just signed Marcus Morris. I know you have Patrick Beverley, who kind of has had as a homegrown player over the past couple years since he's come over from Houston, but still, I think you make this trade getting your primary ball handler, playmaker, just your point guard around Kawhi and Paul George, because Reggie Jackson's not going to cut it. Patrick Beverley, I don't know if he's going to cut it on the offensive floor in the playoffs. Yes, on the defensive floor, but the margin between Kyle Lowry's offense and Patrick Beverley's offense is a lot greater than Patrick Beverley's defense and Kyle Lowry's defense. So I would make that swap. You got to give up a young asset. That might be Mfiondu. That could be Terrence Mann. That could be Luke Kennard. Who knows? And then I would give up 2 second-round picks. They might ask for a first. Who knows? Now, the Clippers, I would 100% do this trade for the Raptors. If this is the best offer you can get, you would have to think about it. Do you like Marcus Morris's contract? Patrick Beverley will be an expiring next year. Do you like Kabengele as a young player? And do you value those 2 second-round picks? I think there could be better offers out here. They might have to give up Luke Kennard. They might have to give up maybe Ivica Zubac, something like that. But I even think if it's Zubac in this trade, you got to get it done if you're the Clippers. I think getting Kyle Lowry would be huge. And Kawhi Leonard's going to be a free agent this summer. I don't think he's going to switch teams. I think I could see him signing like a 1-year deal with the LA Clippers. But why not go all in? What are you waiting for? Especially if there's some bad news on Anthony Davis and he might be out for the year with the Achilles injury. I don't think that's going to happen, but there is still a realm of possibility where that could. Go all in. Get your championship. Bring it to LA on your side of LA. Get it done, Lawrence Frank. Next up, we have another Kyle Lowry trade. Like I said, there's going to be multiple trades for some players in this, and Kyle Lowry is a big name on the market at this current moment. So the Sixers are trading Danny Green, Mike Scott, Terrence Ferguson, and Matisse Thybulle to the Raptors for Matt Thomas and for Kyle Lowry. So one, this is pretty cool because Kyle Lowry's from Philly, went to Villanova, so this is pretty cool in that sense that he's finally going to be a Sixer. Thought he was going to sign with them in like 2017, like the year Redick signed that contract, but he went back to Toronto. Now for Philly, you're getting a point guard that doesn't have to be Ben Simmons that can space the floor. You can still have Ben Simmons be a primary ball handler, but now we can kick it out to Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry can actually play where you can kind of space the floor a little bit now, and you're not having Ben Simmons as your point guard. So I like that in that sense for them. And they're going to lose Danny Green, who has championship experience, three-point shooting, and defensive ability, but you're losing that, but you're getting somebody with championship experience, defensive ability, three-point shooting. I would say better three-point shooter, better, I guess, experience. I don't really think that matters too much when you're talking about these players. Defense, okay, you can maybe give it to Danny Green, maybe not, but just overall offensive ability, overall just NBA talent, just skill at the pro level, I'd rather have Kyle Lowry any day of the week. Obviously, anybody could say that, so I would make this trade. The young asset they are giving up is Matisse Thybulle, and the reason they might be giving up a little bit less than the Clippers, but it's really not too much less, is because they're giving up all expiring contracts. So the Raptors will have a kind of clean cap sheet in the offseason. The Sixers are getting a three-point shooter with Matt Thomas in return. They might ask for him. They could ask for Paul Watson. I don't know. One of those players that just could be like, all right, we're giving you 4 players, at least give us 2, something like that. And for Toronto, maybe they value Terrence Ferguson still. I don't think they value Mike Scott too much. And then, like, Danny Green can help you still try to compete for a championship because the Raptors, think are going to make the playoffs still, but you're getting Matisse Thybulle, who'll be a nice perimeter defender for your future. And for Philly, yeah, it's a championship move. Like LA, like I just said on the Clippers, go out, win a championship. You're the best team in the Eastern Conference record-wise this year. You have arguably the MVP. You have two guys that were kind of borderline all-stars in Ben Simmons and Tobias Harris. You have a good team. You had a great trade trading Josh Richardson for Seth Curry. Get it done. Pick up Kyle Lowry. And yeah, 33% of these trades are going to be Kyle Lowry because I think the Miami Heat should also go after Kyle Lowry if they can give up this. So it would be Andre Iguodala, Myers Leonard, Kendrick Nunn, and maybe I would adjust this a little bit. Maybe they would ask for a first-round pick. Maybe they'd ask for KZ Okpala. I doubt the Miami Heat are willing to give up Precious Achiuwa for possibly a rental. But the Heat were a team that was going to target Giannis, and Giannis is off the board. Bradley Beal's off the board. Maybe they look at Oladipo, but yeah, a lot of their top free agency targets are off the board. I would make a trade for Kyle Lowry if it means you're giving up Myers Leonard, Kendrick Nunn, and Iguodala. I know Kendrick Nunn's young still, but yeah, he's a restricted free agent, 1. 2, you're getting an upgrade. You're getting an upgrade, and you're trying to make the playoffs. You're trying to compete. You were in the NBA Finals last year. This is a massive upgrade. I think you do this if you're the Miami Heat. If the Raptors, maybe you'd want KZ Okpala in return. Maybe you want a draft pick. I don't know how high they would be on Kendrick Nunn as a player, and they would have to take on 2 years of, I believe, Iguodala. Actually, Iguodala might have a team option. I think he does. Because I know Myers Leonard does as well. And yeah, it's a team option. So this is a pretty low risk reward for the Toronto Raptors if they were set on not bringing back Kyle Lowry in the offseason. So on to trade number 4. We have the Phoenix Suns acquiring John Collins for Cam Johnson, a first-round pick this year unprotected, and a swap in favor for the Atlanta Hawks. You're getting that guy next to DeAndre Ayton. Still not the best defensive front court if you have Collins and Ayton, but damn it is good offensively. You have Booker, you have Chris Paul in the backcourt, and then you have Mikal Bridges. Like, Ayton's not a terrible defender, and then you have a solid defender, Chris Paul, and then a fantastic defender, Mikal Bridges. That is a team that could make a conference finals run. If you're rolling out Paul, Booker, Bridges, Collins, Ayton, yeah, that is a scary starting 5. I think you make this trade. The swap isn't the end of the world because I think the Hawks will still be pretty solid in a couple years, and so will the Phoenix Suns if they make this trade and re-sign John Collins. So that's really not a big deal, and you're giving up a protected first and a sharpshooter in Cam Johnson. I know shooting is very valuable in this league, and Cam Johnson is fantastic at that, but if you're trading Cam Johnson and a pick in the 20s for John Collins, yeah, that's a no-brainer. And then one more John Collins trade. We have the Charlotte Hornets trading away PJ Washington, basically a power forward swap there, Grant Riller, and a 2021 lottery protected first this year. The reason why I had PJ Washington having a little bit more value than Cam Johnson is because he provides a little bit more than he does. Cam Johnson is really just a specialist shooter in this league, and while that's very valuable, PJ Washington maybe has a little bit of John Collins in him. He can space the floor a little bit. He's not the worst on the defensive side. He actually doesn't have that bad of a handle, and I think he definitely has some defensive upside still. So you're getting Grant Riller, who was a second-round pick. I thought he was better than some point guards that went in this draft, but not going to look good for me so far. Like, I had him in front of Peyton Pritchard, and I had him in front of, or that was it. I was going to say Malachi Flynn, but I definitely did not have him in front of Malachi Flynn. But yeah, you're giving up a first-round pick. You're trying to make the playoffs this year. This could be the 15th pick in the draft if the Hornets were to make it. Maybe you take off the lottery protected. Maybe you make it top 10 protected because, yeah, this is a massive trade. I think, yeah, I do want to change that from lottery protected to, like, top 8 protected, top 10 protected, because I think if they just miss out on the playoffs, that pick should still go to Atlanta for what John Collins is as a player. But I think if you're Charlotte, you make this trade, you get John Collins, and you have Collins, Hayward, Rozier, and Ball. That's a nice 1 through 4 right there. And then you work on getting your center, which shouldn't be too hard to do. Boom. First blockbuster here. We have a 3-team trade. I mean, there's some other blockbusters, obviously, with Collins and Lowry, but this one is kind of crazy, right? So you got the Cavaliers trading away Andre Drummond, getting in return James Johnson, Dwight Powell, Stanley Johnson, so a couple of Johnsons there, and a lottery-protected 2021 Raptors first, so will be in the 20s. The Raptors are getting Andre Drummond. We've heard the talks for that, so they don't have to give up Chris Boucher in this trade, and they're getting Josh Green from the Dallas Mavericks, and the Mavericks are getting Kyle Lowry. So we'll dissect this by each team. For the Cavs, this is a no-brainer 100%. You're basically getting a lottery-protected first, and you're going to take on one bad contract. You could say Dwight Powell, not the worst contract in the world, for Andre Drummond. You gave up a second and John Henson pretty much to get Andre Drummond. So you're basically turning John Henson in a second to get a pick in the 20s. And that is 100% worth it. For the Raptors, you're trading away Kyle Lowry in a protected first. Stanley Johnson shouldn't mean too much for them in this trade. Yes, trading away Lowry, but you're getting a first-round pick in Josh Green. I don't know if Toronto was hiring him out of Arizona. They might have been, and that's why they could have made this trade. And you're giving up Andre Drummond for basically the 24th pick in the draft, and you get to keep Chris Boucher. I like that a lot. I'm a fan of this trade. Maybe Toronto asks for another thing out of Dallas, because Dallas is basically trading Josh Green, Dwight Powell, and James Johnson for Kyle Lowry, which is really nice. So maybe they ask for either a couple picks, maybe they ask for Tyler Terry, Tyler Bay, somebody like that I could see, and then maybe the Raptors will do this trade. But this is just the premise of the idea. The Mavericks getting Lowry and the Raptors trading away Lowry. The Raptors getting Drummond. So that's pretty much the premise of this trade. You got to get a third team involved, obviously, because Kyle Lowry isn't going to go to the Cleveland Cavaliers. So I like this trade. I'm a fan of it a lot. Shout out to, I believe, Ahmed, who requested or just suggested this trade on my second channel, Kyle Lowry Trading Ideas reaction video. And here we go. Another Andre Drummond trade. Another Hornets trade. And the Hornets, Mitch Kupchak. You could pull off this trade right here. And you could pull off getting John Collins. That is just an A-plus trade deadline. Because then you can have a LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, Gordon Hayward, John Collins, Andre Drummond starting five. That's making some noise in the bottom half of the Eastern Conference, like in the playoff side. Like that team could easily be the 6th seed in the Eastern Conference and finally get the Hornets back into playoff play. So for the Cavs, you gave up John Henson and a second-round pick for Drummond. You're getting 2 seconds of return, so you're already getting more value in your flipping of Andre Drummond. You're getting Malik Monk. Had a good game this year. I don't know. Maybe they can turn around Malik Monk. They might like his value. Cody Zeller and Bismack Biyombo are pending free agents now. I also maybe thought this idea of them giving up Devontae Graham. Maybe the Cavs would prefer to get Devontae Graham. I don't know if the Hornets would want to give him up. But that is just the premise of this idea, is the Charlotte Hornets going out and getting that center, Andre Drummond, that has been rumored for a little bit. Like the last couple of years when the Pistons were going to trade him. I'm surprised the Hornets didn't try to hop in last year. Maybe the Pistons really didn't want the Cody Zeller contract. So I think this is a no-brainer move. If you could pick up John Collins and Andre Drummond in this offseason by giving up, a first, PJ Washington, Grant Riller, that's in 2 seconds. Like, those are your most valuable assets. They probably weren't even going to bring back Malik Monk, Zeller, or Bismack Biyombo, or maybe Biyombo and Zeller as backups. And you could still do that in the offseason. So, man, I would just love to see the Hornets make these type of moves, but I don't think Mitch Kupchak and Michael Jordan will, unfortunately. On to trade number 8. It's a simple one. It really is. It is the Sacramento Kings getting Romeo Langford in return for Harrison Barnes. So Harrison Barnes is not the greatest contract in the world. He had a really good stint throughout this year, like a good 10-game stint. He has fallen off a little bit as of late, but I've been reading a lot of stuff on kind of the Celtics and how they can improve their team with that trade exception. That's how this trade works from the Gordon Hayward sign and trade with Charlotte. And a lot of the reports are saying that they're looking at wings, not bigs, which is interesting to say the least. I would still like to see them go after Miles Turner, but I think getting Harrison Barnes or a wing that could provide you some scoring, a little bit of defense off the bench could be huge for this Boston team if they're fully set on rolling Daniel Tice and Tristan Thompson as their bigs and the Williamses as well into the playoffs. They don't really play Romeo Langford. They didn't much last year. Obviously, he's been hurt this year for a little bit, but I don't know. I think you make this trade if you're Boston, if you're content on paying that Barnes contract. So it's basically 2.5 years of Barnes. That contract, I believe, it's front-loaded, so it will go down. So it'll be in the high teens in millions-wise next year. And I think if you're giving up somebody you're not playing for, somebody you can give a valuable 20 minutes a night to that can give you somewhat of efficient scoring, not the best, but not the worst, I think you do it. But then I also had another idea for them, calling up the Golden State Warriors and trading away Romeo Langford in a second for Kelly Oubre. The Warriors are in cap hell. They're in luxury tax hell. I'm pretty sure it cost them $60 million to get Kelly Oubre due to luxury tax overdrafts. So the Warriors might not be really in the interest to bringing back Kelly Oubre on a long-term deal. You get Romeo Langford, somebody that you can maybe develop, still has 2 years left of his team deal after this year. And you're getting a second-round pick. Maybe you ask for a late first from Boston or something like that instead of a second. But I think if you're Boston, you have to do this trade 100%. You're getting somebody that can be a great wing scorer for you, probably off the bench as your sixth man. And you're rolling Kemba Walker, Smart. You still have Brown and Tatum as your starting 1 through 4. And you have Tice and Thompson. But getting Kelly Oubre to be your sixth man, that's really freaking good. And I think Danny Ainge has got to pull this off. Boston, I know they don't have to make a win now type of move, right? They have Brown and Tatum under contract. They're still very young. Kemba and Smart, they're still under contract. But how long are we going to say this for? Make a move. Make a move and try to win a championship. You have this trade exception you created in the offseason. You turned down the reports, a trade with the Pacers that Hayward was willing to go to Indiana and willing to give up Doug McDermott and Miles Turner in a sign and trade so that you could get Hayward to Indiana because they didn't have the cap space to do so. But Danny Ainge said, no, we want Oladipo and Miles Turner, which he got greedy. And I'm fine with that, but you still should have accepted that trade. But use that trade exception. Come on, go out, get a good player. They're probably going to use it in the offseason if they don't use it at the trade deadline because it will expire and they will obviously have to use this because it's the greatest or the biggest trade exception in NBA history. Go out, get Kelly Oubre, try to compete for the NBA Finals. Make a move, Boston. And I'm going to end it with a blockbuster. I've said it with Philly. I've said it with the Clippers. Said it a little bit with Miami. And I said it with Boston. Like, you could wait around, maybe wait till free agency, or when a player's in the final year of his deal and their value is a lot lower, they requested a trade and they have no leverage, the team that has that player. Yeah, you can wait on that. You can be conservative, but why not go all in? What is wrong with going all in right now and not waiting? So here's a blockbuster Nuggets Wizards trade. Now, I don't know if the Wizards would be willing to do this. This is more on the Nuggets side of things. And I would especially make this move, like I said about the Clippers. If Anthony Davis is looking like he could be out for the year potentially with the Achilles injury, make a trade. Now, he might come back after the All-Star break, but there was a report that says he could be out for a little bit. And even if he's going into the playoffs on maybe not the most mileage this year, little rusty. I don't know. He might not play a lot in the playoffs, but now I'm just kind of saying that is a possibility. There's a possibility he's completely fine. He's completely healthy for the playoffs, but still, if you're Denver, make this move. Create a big three of Jamal Murray, Bradley Beal, and Nikola Jokic. Those three players can get you a championship. Getting Bradley Beal, the NBA's leading scorer from Washington, for Gary Harris. I know you might be like, oh, I don't want to give up Michael Porter Jr. Why? Is Michael Porter Jr. really ever going to be better than Bradley Beal? Is he ever going to be a top 25 player? Is he ever going to lead the league in scoring? Yeah, he could probably develop into a better defensive player, but I don't think he'll ever be Bradley Beal. And you might take that chance that he could be Bradley Beal. But really, it's like you have a Bradley Beal right there. Make the trade. You're giving up RJ Hampton, so basically another first-round pick. Unprotected first this year and 2 swaps. You might have to throw in another first in this trade, honestly, to get it done after what we saw Drew Holiday cost. And obviously what James Harden cost, but Harden's obviously better than Bradley Beal. And you can make an argument who'd you rather have, Holiday or Beal. Most people would say Beal. But I do this trade. For the Wizards, it's not a bad return. You're getting technically 2 first, Hampton and the first, because Hampton really hasn't played that much this year. He was drafted in the 2020 draft. Maybe you ask for another first in this trade, a 2023 first, and then you get the 2024 and 2026 swaps, which might not be too in favor of you because Jokic and Murray are still young and under contract. You're getting Gary Harris that you might maybe salvage his career. He looked really good in 2017, but it's fallen off since. And you're getting Michael Porter Jr. And if you like him, if you like the physicals on him, you make this trade and you kind of reset. But yeah, those are going to be my 10 trades I would like to see happen at the NBA trade deadline. And obviously all 10 can happen because there is multiple teams trying to trade for the same player, and for John Collins, and for Kyle Lowry, and for Andre Drummond. But still, I would like to see at least 1 or 2 of these kind of trade ideas go down in March. But yeah, let me know what you guys thought of these trades down below. Do you agree with any of them? Are you like, wow, that was just the dumbest idea ever? Let me know down below. And also, if you have any good trade ideas that I didn't mention, also let me know that down below. I'll be reading the comments, and I'm hoping to get informed on maybe a great idea you have. But yeah, that is going to be for me. Thank you all for watching. Drop a like if you guys did enjoy. I would really appreciate it. I love you guys, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.